The night the millionaire unlocked the doors of his forgotten country house, he expected dust and silence, not the sound of a child coughing in the dark. His flashlight cut through the cold hallway and froze on a thin woman standing protectively in front of two small figures, her eyes wide with fear and exhaustion, her hands shaking, as if she had been holding the world together with nothing but will. In that instant, everything he thought he knew about ownership, success, and mercy cracked open, and a decision began to form that would upend all their lives. Before the story pulls you deeper, pause for a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of compassion to change destinies, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that are still waiting to believe. The man was named Callum Reed, a self-made millionaire who had built a logistics empire across the northeastern United States. He was known for efficiency, not warmth, for numbers that climbed and contracts that closed. The country house sat on a stretch of land he had inherited from an uncle he barely remembered, tucked between bare trees and a river that moved slowly as if unsure where it was going. Callum had come that night because the property manager had mentioned strange utility spikes and signs of forced entry. He came prepared to secure the place and move on, his mind already half back in boardrooms and airports. What he found instead was a woman named Maribel Torres, a single mother who had nowhere left to go, and her two children, Lila and Tomas, wrapped in coats too thin for winter. Maribel had once lived in a small apartment in a nearby town, working two jobs that paid little and demanded everything. When the factory closed without warning and the diner cut her hours, the rent fell behind in a matter of weeks. She tried shelters that were full, friends who were struggling themselves, and assistance programs that asked for time she did not have. When the landlord changed the locks, she packed what she could carry and followed a rumor she had heard about an empty house on the edge of the county. She broke a window with a stone and swept the glass with her sleeve, bleeding quietly so the children would not be afraid. She told herself it was temporary, just until she could find something, anything. Each night she listened for footsteps and prayed for morning. Callum took in the scene with the detached awareness he used to assess risk, but the detachment did not hold. He saw the way Maribel's shoulders hunched, how she stood between him and the children without thinking, how the kids clutched each other as if gravity itself might fail. He felt the weight of his keys in his pocket and understood, in a way he never had, what it meant to possess something others needed to survive. The obvious response was to call the police, to protect his property, to resolve the inconvenience. The easy response was to hand them cash and walk away. Neither sat right. He surprised himself by sitting down on the stairs, lowering the beam of the flashlight, and listening to the long, halting story of a life squeezed by bad luck and thinner margins. Over the following days, Callum did not return to the city. He arranged for heat to be restored and groceries to be delivered, telling himself it was temporary, a stopgap until he figured out the legalities. He noticed the children's shoes were worn through at the soles, the way Maribel scrubbed the counters until they shone, as if cleanliness could earn forgiveness. He learned that Lila loved drawing rivers and bridges, that Tomas had asthma made worse by the cold, that Maribel kept a notebook filled with job applications and rejection dates. The house, once empty, began to breathe again, and with that breath came questions Callum could not silence. The town did not make it easy. Whispers traveled faster than the river. Some called Maribel a squatter. Others warned Callum he was inviting trouble. His lawyer sent emails thick with caution and liability.
Investors asked why he had delayed meetings. Callum found himself at a crossroads he had avoided his entire adult life, where the clean lines of profit blurred into the messy truths of human need.
He drove to the house one evening as snow began to fall, watching flakes gather on the windshield like unspoken doubts. Inside, Maribel was sewing a torn sleeve by lamplight, her face set with concentration that bordered on pain. Callum felt something settle in his chest, heavy and certain. The shocking decision came quietly. Callum chose to give the house away, not as charity wrapped in conditions, but as a transfer of ownership that would place the land and its burdens squarely in Maribel's hands. He would set up a trust to cover taxes for a few years, connect her with legal aid, and step back. Friends called him reckless. His accountant stared as if he had confessed to madness. But Callum knew the value of leverage, and this was leverage for a different kind of return. He told himself that if success meant anything, it had to include the courage to loosen one's grip. Maribel did not understand at first. She reread the papers until the words blurred. Ownership felt like a language she had never been taught, a promise that might disappear if she blinked. The weight of it pressed on her, and then, slowly, it lifted. With stability came possibility. She enrolled in a training program for medical billing that fit around school hours. The children settled into routines, their laughter filling rooms that had long echoed. The river outside thawed, and spring edged in with a stubborn green. The house became a place of birthdays and scraped knees, of homework spread across the table, of sleep that came without fear. Callum returned to his work changed. He listened differently in meetings, asked questions that startled his colleagues. He funded apprenticeships in the town, invested in affordable housing with the patience of someone who had learned to wait. He did not visit the house often, knowing that true help sometimes means absence. But he received drawings in the mail and updates about grades and health. Each envelope felt like a quiet dividend, a reminder that decisions ripple beyond balance sheets. Years passed. Lila grew tall and serious, her drawings turning into plans for bridges she hoped to build one day. Tomas learned to manage his asthma and ran along the river without wheezing, his laughter carried on the wind. Maribel graduated and found steady work, her notebook replaced by a calendar filled with plans rather than pleas. On the anniversary of the night, everything changed. They planted a tree near the porch, its roots pressing into soil that had finally claimed them as its own. Callum watched from a distance, unseen, and felt a peace that no acquisition had ever given him. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you that one decision can bend a future toward light, please take a moment near the end of this video to like it, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement tells us these stories matter, and that helps them find others who need the reminder. Before we close, we have a special request. Please comment below with one word that describes how this story made you feel. Your words become part of the story's journey. The tree by the porch grew strong, its branches reaching toward the river, leaves whispering of winters survived and springs earned. The house stood not as a monument to wealth, but as proof that compassion, when chosen deliberately, can turn an empty place into a home and a chance encounter into a lasting legacy.